How time flies. Here we are again. I am here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. My name is Martin John, and this is Tao of the Day. On Tao of the Day, what I like to do is come in and talk with you about the Tao as an oracle, as a place where we can look at the Tao from the standpoint of riddles of how we can get new perspectives on what's going on in our lives, on who we are and how we address the world around us. You know, in the Tao, so much of it revolves around this idea of you have the freedom to be who you are, and everyone else has that same freedom. So the moment you start to want other people or other things to be different than they actually are, you start to move away from your natural harmony with the world around you. Once you start thinking that you should be different. Now, we are all raised, like as soon as we're born, we're asked to be different than we are. We're not told we're fine and everything that we do is great. Now, of course, we have to learn about the world and how to work within the world and how to not just, when we get what we want, that often is at the expense of someone else. You know, here we are in the first world. All of us are listening to devices that are built off of, the labor of people who couldn't afford these devices and maybe not even be able to afford enough food in a day. So our lives are built off of other people to some extent. And when we're children, we have to, learn that. And we, like when we all lived in tribes and stuff, I'm not trying to say we should go back to that, but I'm just saying, like, in our society, we've lost track of what's important. We've lost track of the balance of nature. And even though we've created a society, we are existing still in nature. And so we look to the Tao Te Ching. And the Tao Te Ching was written in the 6th century BC. And so it's looking back and telling us, don't forget balance. Don't forget harmony. And we can find harmony in the world that we live in today. But we have to get out from under the influence of all these things that are telling us we're not enough. Because all that really does for us is make it okay to tell someone else that they're not enough. And then when we can find that balance and make us scared about the idea that, like, oh, well, if I'm not enough, then I have to point out other people who aren't enough, and then I got to do the judgment, and I got to do all the things, and make us scared that we're not going to survive, that we're going to be pushed out of our communities, and all of these sorts of things. Julie's going to join me. Julie, how are you today?
Yeah. So, yay! Get the balance. Joining us, Martin, John, me and Brad last week. What day are we on, Brad? How long have we been here? Day 4. Day 4 in a travel lodge. Which is interesting. We're on the 3rd floor, and we're in kind of metropolis. It's very weird. It's metropolis of the industrial type. So you've got trading estates everywhere, as far as the eye can see. Lots of roads with people travelling in their vehicles up and down. Busy going somewhere. Busy having purpose.
Yeah.
And when I look out of the window and I see that, because I'm on the 3rd floor, and I've got nothing that I need to do. There's nothing unless I feel inspired in the next 10 minutes that I've got planned for today. And I'm still enough. Sitting here out the window, and the people in the cars going and with their purpose or whatever they're doing, they're enough as well. And there's a balance in it all. Because the way that I see this is, I don't have to get in a car and go anywhere. I don't have to be anywhere. and I can enjoy that. Whereas previously in my times, if I'd have been sat in a little room with just a bed and a shower, I would have felt outside of the world, like I didn't belong. I'd have felt lonely, sad, useless, you see?
Oh, yeah.
And here I am, sitting here, really glad.
Yeah. And you're cared
to,
for, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, a lot of people will hear that and come up with their own stories about how, oh, well, you're lazy and you're not taking care of the future and like all of the, like, what if, right? And that's what we were trained to do. We were trained by our parents and they had reason to train us. Like they had their own fears.
Yeah.
You know,
they're just passing the baton. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. But that's the thing. Like when you're born, you grab the baton and then you start running, and you're like, okay, I'll pass this off to the next one. But it's like you can stop running.
Yeah.
Like there's no like, you know. I understand if you put in all of this work to be here. And that's the crux of it all. It's like if you're an Olympic athlete and you're in the middle of your race, all that you put in is bringing you here. And all of that effort that you put in to come here is what makes it so important that you finish. But if you were to stop in the middle of your race and just drop the baton and go sit in the grass, you'd be labeled a lunatic because you've put in all this effort and all it is another, 500 yards. Just finish the race. But it's like, but when I finish this race, what's next? And there's just more training for another race? And it just keeps going?
Yeah,
it just keeps going.
It's the creation of your own experience. This is the thing. If you enjoy the experience of training yourself and the experience of competing against other runners in your race, if you enjoyed that experience, if you enjoy the experience of winning, be prepared to enjoy the experience of losing that race as well.
Right.
And that's it. It's just a creation.
Right. And that reminds me of I'm going to read this one just because it's so poignant to what we're talking about at this moment. Do what you love to do, number 68. Great athletes love to play, not win.
Yeah.
Great fighters love to fight, not be angry. Great generals love to strategize, not destroy. Great employers love to employ, not be a boss. Great musicians love to play, not perform. They are not attached to identity or outcomes. They simply dance with what they love to do. This is in harmony with Tao.
Exactly, yeah. So, sitting in this room and becoming kind of like aware of the two ways the experience would go for me. Previously, I would be under the influence of needing to have company, needing to have purpose, needing to have a place to go and be, needing to represent something in my life, to represent success, whatever that looked like at the time.
Right.
And today I get to look out of the window in this travel lodge, which is great. It's just great. Even the colorings of it all,
That's good.
It's got a very daft, little bed kind of band across the bed. These, I don't know what they call them. They call them something like a decorative piece of material that is just pointless.
Right.
Except for it looks okay when you drape it across the bottom of the bed.
Right.
And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these things, the fact that there's no cupboards, there's just a space, looks like a bus shelter that you can put your coat up on a hanger. And, it's just really interesting how basic you can live, really. And that can be okay.
I really like
fine.
the minimal, I live in a very minimal way. I had a beautiful compliment. The woman that was staying with me, Robin, over the summer. She reached out to another friend of mine, and that friend, Linda, just decided that it'd be nice.
You got too many friends. You got too many friends.
That friend decided to tell me about an interaction that she had with my buddy Robin. So Robin stayed with me, and then she moved back home and made up her place and whatever. And when she and Linda were talking, she told Linda that she had learned a lot about living simply by staying with me. And I was so touched by that, because I do live simply. You know, I don't have complicated things. I don't have stuff. I don't have spaces that I need to, decorate or like, and my house is, it is on one hand, it's a construction site where the walls are not all there and the floor is temporary and all of this stuff. And yet it's warm and it's welcoming.
It's
and I don't have
my choice every time.
Yeah, and I don't have any shame about it, so there's no energy of shame in it. I remember when Robin was staying here, we talked about the state of the place once or twice, and she was just like, "Oh yeah, I don't even see the walls as having holes in them anymore. As being studs, right? As being, like I don't see that anymore, because like I only saw it like very briefly in the beginning when I first entered, but that was because that's not normal. But now that I'm living here, it's just the wall. It's just the way the wall is right now, and it's really nice.
Structure that enables the space to be filled, and I like that.
Right.
Especially with what I do, going from house to house. You can feel that space more than the structure now.
Right. Yeah. It's not about the structure, the structure's there to expose the value of the substance, of the emptiness.
Yeah.
As Tao says, it's like, that's what the structure is there for. And the structure, whether it's studs or whether it's a well-painted or papered wall.
Or a race. Or a training program, or that's all structure.
That's all structure, and the substance underneath, as it talks about in this, do what you love to do, is that you're engaged, not in the identity of what it makes you because it's painted well or papered well or you win the race. It's not the identity. But it's just that you doing it.
It's doing,
Yeah, it's that this is you. That this is you engaging with those surroundings. And
there are no words for that, Martin. John.
No.
I did enjoy looking out the window this morning. It was great, and I thought I'll share that one with you.
I want to go back to that, if you don't mind. I want to talk a little bit about the idea that there are some people that are in love with what they do and in love with who they are. That whole, in and amongst all of those people, there are some people, not all of them, probably not most of them, but there are some people in there not attached to identity, that are just simply doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be plumbers. Some of them are going to be salesmen. Some of them, I would actually think that all the CEOs and all of the people that are in those big positions, I would think that they'd be less likely to love what they do and love the outcome of what they do, meaning their identity as it relates to what they do.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I was looking there as well and thinking, of all the purposes, of all the intentions and things, people's in the cars. And then you've got people who are walking the streets. Some of them have intentions and purposes. But in there somewhere will be somebody who has no purpose, has no intention. They're just simply there. And that blew me away as well. It's just the balance of things. It's really, really good.
I remember when I was younger, and I would hate the hustle and bustle, and I would just kind of sit on the train because sometimes I would work night shift, and then I'd get off of my night shift, and everybody's running around, and then I just get on this train to kind of scowl at people when I was a bit of a hoodlum, and I would just kind of like soak it all in, soak in all this misery, soak in all this all of that emptiness that everyone is carrying, and making sure that they had their coffee, to make sure that they got through their miserable days, that kind of thing. And that was the story I told myself.
Yeah.
But I learned, I learned that they're learning, they're going through their lives. And I'm going through mine. I'm just as wrong doing what I'm doing as they are. Right. Yeah. And I'm just as right as they are, right? Yeah. And so it's just this conversation that we have with our surroundings. It's so beautiful.
It's interesting to start paying attention sometimes to what that story is we do tell ourselves.
Right.
And question it.
Right, because it's all stupid. And the thing is we think our story is the beautiful
truth.
thing. Is we think our story is the truth. And, I can't tell you how many people I talk to. I'm just like, they believe that their story revolves around this one thing. And they don't even see that one thing. But if you break it down and if you show it to them, they're like, oh my God, it's all about this one thing. And I'm like, right. What are the odds of that? And they're like, well, rare. Right. It's impossible that it's all about this one thing. So we must then figure out that we're all about that one thing. We're the ones that are all about that one thing, not the world. The world isn't all about me not being good enough. I'm all about me not being good enough.
That's right. Wonderful. Wonderful. What a lovely thing. What a way to end it. Good, Blimey, you're great. And I'll continue looking out my window. I don't want to go out today and mingle. I'm just going to look out at the window and
That's
watch
a nice place
people
to be.
Go by. Yeah.
Yeah, and you never know. In 2 hours, you might be inspired to head out.
I might. Yes.
So, I've
had a good time here so far. It's all right.
I like it. Well, I'm glad. You guys are nice and warm and safe and
no responsibilities.
No,
Yay!
it's beautiful.
See you soon.
All right, dear.
Bye.
I'm going to bring Catherine Taylor up. We'll talk a little more about Tao. Maybe pick a number. I know we read 68. I hope that was good for you, Julie. Catherine, how are you?
I'm doing okay, I guess.
You guess?
It's been a while since I've been on the show. I've been listening, but I've had a lot going on. And I just moved into this, I hesitate to call it a new place because it's a shithole.
It's new for you.
It is. It's new for me. But, I'm very disappointed in the place. They had the electric off when I came to look at it. What happened, my landlord told me they weren't going to renew my lease and I had to be out by December 31st, but I was still working on the sign campaign. So I was working 60 hours a week.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I didn't really have time to prepare to move until that job ended about the middle of November, And then I've lived in the same place for 17 years.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, well, almost 18. So it was a huge change for me, And I wanted a really cheap apartment. So
these days, that's not easy to find.
No, it's not. You're telling me I haven't looked at almost 2 decades,
I know. Yeah.
I still remember paying $180 in rent in 2003. So now I'm paying $475, which is less than what I was paying at the place I moved out of, which is what I wanted. I was trying to save money somehow because, the inflation or whatever they want to call it, it's greed. Prices are going up on stuff.
Right.
And it costs more. But they had the electric off when I came to look at this place, and I was down to the wire. Like I had 2 weeks or
Yeah.
less to be out, and I was like, I'm gonna be homeless. I'm not
Right.
gonna. I don't have anywhere to go. I'm gonna be homeless. And so I come look at this place. The electric's off. They're cleaning it. I put that in quotes, but you can't see that. Kind of
Yeah, no,
like I don't know how you're.
I heard it. I heard the quotes. They're cleaning it. Like it was very clear.
Well, like I'm like, how are you cleaning the apartment with no power? I don't understand. Like,
Right.
you don't have hot water if you're doing that. First of all,
You can't see. You're not running a vacuum. You're not going to paint it. What are you doing?
it was already painted, and there's no carpet, so they didn't need to vacuum. But like, I just,
Yeah.
but I was too desperate. So like,
Yeah.
I was like, whatever, I'll take the place. I don't care. And so I was like, surely they'll be done with this stuff when I move in, right? So I get in here and there's like shorts and electrical stuff. There's like, one of my knobs on my sink, it doesn't work in the kitchen. Like, I put in like 4 maintenance tickets because they have a online
Yeah.
portal.
Good.
And I'm like, I remember the property manager telling me they had over 300 properties in Jefferson City and Columbia, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys are clearly experienced property managers if you have that many properties. I can't believe that you
Or
would
they're
let somebody,
experienced slumlords. Like they don't. Like,
if you can see the rest of this building, I would say only half of the apartments in this building are habitable.
see, yeah,
And
okay. Well, let's we're gonna.
that's my baseline.
Yeah, that's your baseline. All right. Well, so let's pick a number. So pick a number. And then
9.
Number 9. Number 9. I always say that when someone picks 9. Say this is the danger of extremes. And I want to, but I mean, before I read this, I just want to kind of chime in a little bit. So in what I'm hearing from you, there's a fear of being homeless.
Yeah.
And that's probably been with you for a long time. And that's, a fear of not, that usually kind of dictates as a fear of getting kicked out, getting rejected, getting put out, in many ways. And so that probably relates to, childhood, not being accepted, not being, and your love.
Yeah, I was not
love-
accepted, and I actually did get kicked out of the car and abandoned on the side of the road one time.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, sweetie. Okay, Catherine, I want you to know that I love you. Okay. I want you to take a breath.
Okay.
So, all of that teaches us a lot of things, right? Teaches us that we don't deserve things. And you having to leave your place, you getting kicked out, is probably a really good thing. That they're not going to renew your lease. Now, I know that it probably seems really bad right now, but that's kind of the universe going, Catherine, it's time to grow up. It's time to look at some things. It's time for you to face some things that you maybe haven't needed to face in a while. Even though my guess is even though you've been living somewhere for 2 decades or whatever it is, you've still had the fear of being homeless. But because it was safe there, you never wanted to leave. It was just like it made you feel so safe because you had a place. Even though in your mind it was still like they can take it from me at any time. And then they did. And now here you are in this space. And maybe this is not a space that you're going to stay. Maybe you can find another space. But as we mentioned, if your focus is on lack, then paying more for a space is going to be out of the question. And getting a space for inexpensive. Getting an inexpensive space is going, like, no matter what you do, if you're measuring by cost, and we look at the greed of the world around us, you're going to end up in a shithole if you want to pay $400. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like
Yep.
you ain't gonna get around that. So you're gonna have to make either the best of the situation that you find yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to stay here, but you do have to find a way to love yourself and not be afraid of being abandoned, not being afraid of all of the stuff that I just in your description of what you were talking about, but that I was able to pick up. Like, it's not, you're carrying it with you. All of this stuff from when you were a kid and being pushed aside, told you weren't important to spend time with, told you weren't important to pay attention to. All of that kind of comes into play. And when it does, you're going to be afraid of being put out, be afraid of not being able to take care of yourself, and that nobody will be there to pick up the pieces with you. And so, those are things that, as you're in this new space, as you start transitioning, that is the story that you're telling yourself. None of that's true, by the way. It's just the story that you tell yourself and invest in. So even if it's subconscious, you're investing in a story that looks this way. So maybe you don't get close to others, because if you get close to others, you might have support. And if you have support, then you ruin your frame of reference of what life is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. I didn't exactly, I mean, you put it a different way. Like, that's something I've taught myself. I don't need other people, figure it out on my
own. That's a lie. But that's a lie so that you can continue the frame of reference that you believe is true.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I'm sorry to say it, but it's stupid.
It's all stupid.
It's all stupid. So don't I'm not going to say don't continue doing that, because if you do, whatever, that's your business. But recognize that your entire life is revolved around a lie. That
I'm still under the influence, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. And as you start to challenge that influence, it starts to come up. So as you start to challenge that influence, your apartment of 20 years decides not to renew your lease. And then, because as you start to challenge that, you're like, I'm going to be homeless, and this is hitting me hard. And this is like, yeah, of course. Because as you start to challenge this, the universe goes, oh, you're ready for more lessons. Good for you. Here you go.
Great.
But you have to take, and that's the thing. We all like this idea of, like, as we start to heal, things get better. But as we start to heal and as we start to take care of ourselves, the ramifications of all the not caring for ourselves that we did really come to light. Because it's like, if you're ready to clean up your life, here's all the garbage you put in that closet. Now you got to go through.
That's a great analogy.
It's you want to vacuum that rug? Good. Here's the closet. Everything falls out, and it's like, here it is. Here's your shit. It's just like, oh well, but I only wanted to clean this, and it was just like, well, you can't. It's like you're holding the ocean back with a broom, and the moment you start to let a little in, all of the power of the ocean starts to come in. And yes, at the beginning, it's very, very intense. And it should be intense. But you are, I don't like the word resilient, because that references getting back to a state. you're able to be tempered. You're able to become stronger because of the overwhelming experience of it coming in. You will get stronger. You will get more level, and you'll take care of yourself through this. But you have to see the whole picture. And you can't just see, I'm a victim of this apartment and them not doing the things. And then, it's like, yes, you sure. But your experience, as I heard you express it, was, I'm going to be homeless. And it's like, and me hearing that you were in one place for 20 years, all of that is coming from you. Right. And that's real. Now, you can make this a great place so you can move out, but there's a lesson for you in this. And it is not, regardless of you staying here or moving out or whatever, there's a lesson in here about you, for you to grow from. And as you grow from that, you're going to find yourself in a beautiful place. Now, is that place going to be this place? Maybe. And it will be beautiful because you'll make it beautiful. Or it'll be somewhere else. But it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter what it is. The beautiful place is going to be within you. And that will blossom around you. So 9, the danger of extremes. And it reads, having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Focus your attention on money and lose sight of what is valuable. Keep in mind outside influence, and you will be its prisoner. Do what you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway.
It's not. It's all temporary.
That's right.
It's not mine.
Yeah. And, when we say focus your attention on money, money in our society is safety and security.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you're trying to desperately hold on to because it was so transient when you were young. Because you were at the mercy of your parents. So focus your attention on that security, and you lose sight of what is actually secure. And you are secure here in this world. You are held. You are. And you will not go astray. You will not be left behind. You do a lot of work to try to prove that you will be by not having deep friends and friendships and other things like that. And I don't know what else you do. You mentioned that a little bit, but
yeah,
so
it's pretty limited.
Yeah. Now you're just going to drop off, so you can come back up if you want, and we can finish this up. So yeah, it's, there are stories that we hold on to. And those stories that we hold on to, we really invest in, and we don't even know we're investing in them, right? You are heavily invested in believing that you're going to be homeless. And you actually have a world that proves to you you can be. I don't have any friends. I got to work all the time. I got to do this. I got to do that. I have no supports. Okay, but who's living the life that does that?
I did it.
Right? You did it, right? And so it's like, this is what I mean by living under the influence of our parents, right? Your parents, you learned some shit from your parents that said that your safety is forfeit. You can't, at any moment we can just kick you out at any moment. And, maybe that was a threat. Maybe that was, I don't know what your parents did and stuff, but those are things that you essentially learned. And,
right.
I only learned that by listening to you for the last 15 minutes. So it's not like you're hiding it well, and it's not like it's hard to find.
Well, I try to be pretty honest about, I never would have been able to handle the situation if I hadn't finished EMDR last year. and dealt with my complex PTSD.
Of course.
You know?
Of course.
I don't think I would have been able to handle this situation at all.
But stop. You wouldn't have been presented with this situation had you not done that.
Yeah, that's why I was getting to that. Yeah, because you said,
so it's,
the universe says you solved your problem, so now here's another one.
Here's another one. Right. And that's the thing. Like, the more you go, like, and that's, you have this whole closet full of garbage that you gotta, pack up and get out. And, when we think about hoarders and stuff, and when we think about, don't forget, this can also have to do, like, this is on Noom, so we can talk about, like, diet and weight loss, other things like that. And it's like, this could have a big thing to do with weight loss as well. Like, you're holding on to weight because you're holding on to things because you're afraid you're going to have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's a big thing. So as you start to release these things, you can also start releasing the amount of things that you need. When we talk to Julie about, like, oh, I don't need much, right? Talk about living simply. And then you can release even the physical weight that you carry. That starts to go away. You like, I'm not sure how you dealt with your traumatic past and other things like that, but sometimes
food was I had a big problem with binge eating for a long time.
Yeah. So a lot of times when you heal something, you can actually drop weight pretty quickly afterwards. Now that'll plateau because you're holding on to other things, like you're holding that closet door closed so it doesn't bust open again, but it's like you're still holding on to it. It's like, no. Let's get it all out and cry for a month so that we can start, cause with myself, it's just like when I find a problem in my house, I open it up. And as soon as I open it up, it's a mess and it's, oh God, it's a big thing. And then I deal with it and I get it to a state that I can be in the space and clean it up and stuff. But I sort through it all and I want to look at all of the damage. And that's a thing. I think that's a good way of looking at living. It's just like, if you want to look at the damage, then you'll be able to assess it and fix it, or at least repair it, or replace it with idea. Because if this idea of being homeless and being a victim of the world around you and not being safe is if you like that, then that's fine. But with what it's presenting in your life, I would say that there's conflict there, that you don't really like feeling that way.
No.
Because if you did like feeling that way, you wouldn't say, I'm not safe, I'm getting kicked out of my apartment, and this is a shithole. And like, let's look at the situation. Like, the electricity was off when you went to see the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, energetically, that says some shit. That says,
you're right.
like, there's this idea of, like, look before you leap, you know what I mean? But you being so traumatized by the lack of security in your life, you're just like, doesn't matter. I gotta do something. I'm gonna act like it, and it getting down to the wire. Burr, burr, burr. In contrast, I remember I was looking for a car 2 years ago. And I was, I had an idea of what I wanted to spend on the car, and I had an idea of what I kind of wanted and stuff, but I didn't really do any work. And every day, I was even on here on Tao of the Day talking about this 2 years ago, talking about, I got to go get a car, and it'll come up it'll present itself when it's ready. It'll present itself when it's ready. And then I looked at one car, bought it within my range, and it's been acting like fucking, it's been running like a top ever since. And it's a pickup truck because I'm working on my car, on my house. So it's been perfect. I looked at one car, but it took me 2 weeks of being like, oh, I need to do this. And without judgment, just be like, oh, I'll do it when I do it. And I found the perfect little truck. It's a red truck, and it's like me and my little red truck. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not to say I manifested it, right? I don't go into that because that's a little deceptive. I mean, I've worked 20 years with Tao, right? That's part of it. It's part of it that I can trust that, one, I'm safe and I'm held and I'm being guided to what's best for me. I didn't visualize anything, right? I didn't go through all those things, all that structure, that attraction, like law of attraction, people talk about. I just lived my life and the right thing shows up. And you're living your life and the right thing showed up. The right thing being this apartment. It's right because you need to learn the lesson of it.
Yep. And this was a good talk. I think before I go, I do want to end it on a positive note.
Okay, good.
I mean, I complained a lot about the apartment, but I was also sick of driving, and it is only half a mile from my office. So I have been enjoying walking to work, like to and from work. I really love walking to work. I love it.
That's wonderful. See, like, there's always harmony.
Yeah.
You know, and so yes, you have a lesson, but you also have more time to walk, which means maybe you can think about that lesson and kind of focus on that lesson a little bit more.
Exactly.
You know, and you be mindful, right? Don't use that walk to increase your frustration about your apartment or your situation, right? Listen to yourself. Observe your thoughts. Observe yourself as you're going through. Life is easy.
Yeah. I've been trying to remember Martin John's phrases throughout the day. Life is easy doesn't fit, but I do like, what is it you say? Far out, man, and we'll see. Those two.
It's like, look at this apartment, far out.
Yeah.
Far out. I gotta do another ticket, right? Far out. Far out. This is where I ended up.
Yep.
You know, this is for me somehow. Let's look around and be quiet and observe. You're doing so great.
Thank you, Martin John. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Enjoy that walk to work, man. What a nice like reunion. It's been a while since we talked, so I was glad to catch up. I'm telling you, like, I don't know. I have no idea if, like, I like to think I'm special, but I have no idea if, like, I do what I do, and when I listen very open, you know, and I think it's my ability to be open, and I think it's my ability to not, like, hold on tightly to whatever identity I think I am or that I'm carrying, that it makes it possible for me to hear you, whoever I'm talking to, right? Hear someone else. And also possibly the work that I do with energy work and other things like that has made it easy for me to experience the subtle. So when Catherine said, like, I'm going to be homeless, I felt that there was more energy around that than other things that she said. And so we moved to that. And so for those of you who are listening and being like, oh, what is all this? It's not like I'm psychic or anything. It's just like I spend time being quiet. And by spending time being quiet, you can listen a little easier, I think. I don't think anything that I do is special, really. Everything that I do is just, it's like that number 68, you know, that we read today with Julie. Great athletes love to play, not win. Great fighters love to fight, not be angry. Great generals love to strategize, not destroy. Great employees love to employ, not be a boss. Great musicians love to play, not perform. They're not attached to identity or outcome. They simply dance with what they love to do. This is in harmony with Tao. When I think about that, I think about myself, and I think about like what I do here on Tao of the Day and everywhere else, my clients and other things. It's like I don't want their lives to change, right? I don't want Catherine's life to change because it's going to change anyway. I don't have any desire for it to change in any specific way. What I want is for her to see how beautiful she is. Because I do, right? Because that's what I can see. Of course, that's special in some way. But JK, how are you, dear?
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of going to say is that I think, yeah, you're open to receiving as they show up or whatever. But I think it's your ability to love people. And that love, I think, allows you to do those other things. It's really amazing providers for that because a lot of people don't get that kind of love,
Yeah.
and it's sad, but it's true. And I think you come and here's a stranger that loves you and you're like, fuck, like, what is this? Like, I don't know.
I got a text from a client yesterday that said, I don't know. I'm sending this to you because you're the only one that's going to understand, but I love myself. And it was like, she said that I never thought that I would be able to say that, but I love me. And I was like, I'm really excited, not because I was a part of it as much as like, I'm really excited because this person sees themselves and loves themselves as they are. It's something that I don't, it's like,
well, because the magic within that, right?
Right.
You know what it's like not to love yourself and then to love yourself and how much the world opens up after that. And then you get excited for them based on what you did for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's like, that didn't happen, because the way I work, I mean, with people, like I'll work with them for a little bit and then I let them go out on their own. And this is a time when they're out on their own. And it's like, I could not get them to the place of them loving themselves.
No.
They had to do that. And that's why I work with people and then I go, okay, now go away. Now go live your life.
I love you, but I'm going to leave you.
Right. Absolutely. I love you and I'm going to continue to love you.
Yes.
But you're going to go and figure this out yourself because I can't do that. Because if I'm here trying to influence you, just like, Catherine, like she's going to go out today and she's going to think about what we said and she's going to process it and remember the things that she needs to remember. She's not going to remember my words and I'm not going to, in the middle of the day go, nope, that's not what I said. This is what I said.
No, because it's irrelevant what you said.
That's right.
It's whatever stays
irrelevant
in her heart. And then she begins to find inspiration and grow from that. And that, that's not you.
No.
You're just help facilitating some of it in the beginning. And so the process is really beautiful. But it's the fact, I think, for me, the fact that you can love without condition. And that is what so many people crave and don't get. And you don't even know what that, like for me, I didn't even know what that was like. So when to love myself without condition was impossible. I didn't know what that was. What did that even mean? And exploring that and having somebody to explore that with, that's the piece, right? That you kind of need, otherwise, you need fuel to kind of take off. You can have the engine, but there's nothing there. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a spark or something to kind of get things going. And, that's what you are, a little spark, I guess. I don't know.
I'm a little spark. Call me Sparky.
in a red truck.
My little red truck.
That's great.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
I'm glad.
I'm rested. I went to bed, I think, at like 6 o'clock last night. I
Oh.
was tired.
Yeah, this happens at the end of the round act, at the end of the rough night. So the 6th is the end, and so there can be a little slumbering in the 7th and 8th, and then we, like the kind of the dark cloud lifts a little bit from the dark nights and we from the rough nights, and we start to see, we start to think a little clearer.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It is nice. But I had a good day. I mean, it was long. It was a long day, and I was tired, and I was trying not to get sick because everybody's sick, and I've been able to avoid it. But, I said, time to rest. So I rested.
Yeah.
Now I'm up again. Had to run some errands this morning. Yeah, now I'm taking my walk. I did. Yeah, I had to get some stuff at the grocery store. And
this
I had
morning, I guess it's almost 8 o'clock by you, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that you haven't been.
They open at 7. So
yeah.
I was there at 7, listening to you and Julie talking about the people in their offices.
The travel lodge. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was in my little metal box traveling along. I was listening to the stories from the travel lodge.
That's nice.
It was nice. And I had a lovely conversation yesterday. And it's funny you were talking about some of this stuff because, and I've had conversations, people would call me and they want advice, right? And, I don't want to tell anybody what they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do. Like that's not for me. And I never feel good about it if I do. Right. And, it was with my daughter, and one of the wonderful things that I was able to do was actually talk about our relationship and some of the ways that I used to impose on her.
Right.
And use that story and talk about, I said, I don't know how that was for you, but this is how it was for me. This is how I experienced, our connection while we were going through that. And, and she took that to whatever scenario, because it seemed to me it was relevant to the scenario. And that's what I was inspired to talk about anyway. And it was really great because, and I knew when it was done, which was nice because I didn't go on. And it was done. We said what we had to say. And she said, you know what? That helped a lot. Thank you so much. I didn't say anything about her situation. I didn't say anything about what she was going through. That was about my experience, and allowed her to take what she needed, just like you said with Catherine and all that, they're going to take what you need. And I don't know. I mean, I can say now, life is easy. I do believe that. But it started with we'll see. I would say we'll see. And, and just kind of reconditioning a little bit my mind and my thoughts, because it was always me wanting an expectation and just trying to look beyond that expectation and saying, yeah, it could be something more beautiful, more incredible than your wildest dreams. Right. I said, so why? You don't have that foresight, that it could be more than you ever dreamed of. So why are you limiting, like what you say, why are you limiting yourself to this one scenario would be perfect? And so, those kinds of ideas. But for me, that started with we'll see. And then I saw, and then you say, oh, okay. And then you get to the next one, or whatever your phrase is,
Yeah.
One of the things I wrote in my journal, when I'm feeling some kind of way, and I wrote recently, I was like, if you're struggling, if life is easy, I said, why are you struggling? And it's just something I say to myself now, because it says, okay, you got to look at this, why are you struggling with this? It shouldn't be a struggle. It's easy. And know that, because I believe that. So anyway, that's always a little marker for me to be like, you got to look at this at some point. It's going to come up again. Shouldn't be this hard.
It's just going to keep coming up over and over until you address it.
Yeah.
And you got a number for me?
Let's do 10.
Oh, moving. I was just reading that. And I was just kind of glancing at that. 10, can you, is the question. Is the title. And the title is the question, can you control your mind so it doesn't wander? Can you control your body so it doesn't wander? Can you endorse all that you do? Can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Can you do all this without interfering and remain unknown? Can you leave behind knowing and open yourself to understanding? Can you be like Tao and give birth without possessing? Can you be like Tao and act without expecting? Can you be like Tao and lead without dominating? If so, it would be considered great. And I would say to you, specifically, Jacob, that is that like in talking about your daughter and your relationship with your daughter, you're learning these things, right? You're learning to have given birth without possessing. Mm-hmm. You're learning to act without expecting. You're learning to lead without dominating. And so you're learning to love, not to get something out of it, but just to love. And that will inspire those around you. That will inspire those you love to even love themselves. And that's going to give them so much more. And it's going to contribute so much to everybody that they come in contact with.
And it's true, because I got the opportunity to tell her, and she's had trouble with friends, and she's like, why does everybody leave? And I said, I don't know. I said, sometimes endings are beginnings. I said, you just got to look at it. But I said, you are worthy of friendship. I said, you are a beautiful person. And I did explain to her that I said, when I stopped trying to control how you lived your life, how you were you, I said, you have, over these last couple of months, become this more than I could have ever imagined. I said, and I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much. and it was just a moment, like, usually she makes a bad joke. I wonder where she got that from. When it's uncomfortable, but she received it. And that was the part too. I wasn't saying it so she could.
Right.
And I wasn't saying it just to make her feel better. It's what I really feel, and it was nice to be able to have a moment to be able to actually say that to her, because she is. I said, you're amazing. I said, and look at the person you're becoming. I said, who wouldn't want to be friends with you? I said, of course. And so, that just it was a beautiful moment for me to be able to express that to her, and just in a place of love, and not because I wanted anything back, just because that's how I feel.
Right.
And it was a real honest conversation. And she thanked me, and it was nice.
That is good. It's amazing how when we're honest and don't want anything, we get everything.
Yes.
And if you have a belief that if you don't go and take it, you'll never get it, trying that out, right? Trying to get everything by not wanting anything isn't real, right? You fake it, and so it doesn't work. And then you say, see, it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But when you really do the work, when you really go in and you truly don't want anything, everything is available to you. But
so much more than you could have ever imagined.
So much more than you could have ever imagined. And if you have those lingering doubts and those lingering fears, they're going to present themselves. But they present themselves, and you can look at those and continue to do the work so that you can get rid of those lingering doubts and fears and step into who you are.
Yeah, because that's a magic closet.
Yeah.
It's that closet never is empty.
It's
It
never
always has
empty.
some kind of shit in there,
Right. And
that's okay though. It's how you look at the closet. It's whether it's falling on top of you and burying you,
right.
or you're able to look at it and say, "Oh, this is a mess. I'm going to clean it up."
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not going to clean it all up right now, and I'm okay with
No,
that. It's just going
no,
to
no,
live there
no.
for now.
You have
Do you know?
to do one thing at a time. You have to sort it out. You have to, like, you're not going to go in there with a vacuum until it's all cleared out. And so it's like you got to take it one step at a time. And that's why we talk about low-hanging fruit. And low-hanging fruit is the stuff that's presenting itself right now. When that low-hanging fruit is done, something else is going to trigger you. And so then you start over. You start, okay, get another bag. Let's start filling this one up.
But you start from a different place. And
You start from a different place.
That's the beauty is, your perspective is a little different. So,
and you just take it one step at a time. It doesn't become too overwhelming. And when it is, you just take your time, take a breath.
Eventually you'll find your red truck too.
That's
right.
I
love you.
I love you too.
Talk to you later.
Have a wonderful day. Yeah, we'll talk later.
You too.
Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Mary, what the hell? Where you been, girl? Mary. Did you have to get another phone, dear?
No, but I did have to do a factory reset on this one. So,
okay. No.
Love your reaction sometimes. I was like, I didn't know if he was going to catch it in time, and then
boom, there you are. I was just about to jet. I'm going to have to go after you, but I wanted to say hello.
Yes, I had to come on and say hi. I'm like, okay, so I know how I have to time it.
So wait. Let me. First of all, you got a deeper, sultry voice. Have you been sick?
I have had a little bit of a sickness. Yeah, I have right now. I tested positive for COVID a couple of days ago, and I've been coughing, and I've also been, practicing sultry for this new upcoming TV role I have. But yeah, no.
Well, it's working, girl. It's working.
But thank you for the description of it. I really like it. I'm going to take that with me the rest of the day today.
Take it with you.
No, I'm not sick. I'm just sultry.
Yeah, there you go.
But yes, I have been. You pick up so easily on things, and I just love it.
Well,
I love it.
That's what I do.
No, I like that. That's what I do. You are just like kicking it today. I love it. I love it.
Oh, well, good. I don't know.
I love it. Maybe I'm just, noticing smaller things now. There's been stuff cleared out of my smoke screen. So, yeah. Yep. I'm happy.
Well, welcome. Well, I'm glad to be speaking with you. What's going on with you these days? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. I just good things. I'm getting my surgery done in probably February, I believe is when it'll be. Okay. But this is, I think in my mind, I was sitting there going, everybody's going to think, but it's true. So many people believe that it's just a quick fix for people. And it's not, there's a lot of work that has to be put into it for us to be able to, for those of us who getting it done. And, but it's been a blessing for me because it is truly a last resort option for me as far as all the times I've tried to lose weight, but it's prompted me to quit using my vape.
Yeah.
So that is a blessing. That I think maybe that's part of like with all the coughing and stuff, it's bringing up all the ick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it takes a while. I say with alcohol, it's 5 years. I know tobacco is insidious, and I don't know if you were doing tobacco on your vape or what you were doing, but I don't really know much about vaping. But
well, with vaping, I had chosen to vape to help me quit smoking 3 years ago, and I was always told, "Oh, well, vaping is much safer than smoking." So that's
not the when I saw vaping come out, I was like, "This ain't going to be good."
And, but it's so easy because they have all these oh my gosh, listen to what I was smoking. Blueberry watermelon. Tell me that does not sound delish. Okay. Because it really did taste really good.
Okay. Hold on. I need you to just wrap your head around the idea that you were smoking blueberry watermelon. Like, this is the thing. This is I also want to kind of, so when my mom was a kid, she was allowed to drink coffee, but because she was a kid, her parents said, you can drink coffee, but it has to be black.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. And I feel like the same thing goes with smoking and stuff, right? Where it's just like, look, if you're going to smoke, you have to know what the fuck you're doing to your system. And what, and smoking is gross. Like, I smoked for, a decade or more, or whatever it was. And I'd wake up, my fingers are yellow, my breath stinks, my clothes stink, my life stinks, all of this kind of stuff. And that, it reminds you of what you're doing to your body. My walls were yellow and everything. And it's like, if I were to have smoked blueberry watermelon, and because I know, because I did hookah, so I know like apple tobacco and stuff like that. And it's like,
just tasted good, right?
Just, man, what a delight. Just like, a caramel macchiato.
Chocolate ice cream.
Yeah. And just like, absolutely. And like, eventually, because like now they have gummy marijuana. And eventually they're going to have like gummy heroin, and gummy cocaine and, like all of these sorts of things, because like, why not? I mean, as long as you're, and it becomes this thing. And, when I was an alcoholic, I was an alcoholic before flavors. So I stopped drinking before green apple vodka. And I was a vodka drinker.
Yeah, so it would have just made it even more delectable for you.
Right. And so when that came out, as one part of me had the image of I'm an alcoholic, and there's a proudness to that in some recesses of my mind. And I was like, if you're going to drink vodka, you're going to drink vodka. You're not going to drink, you're not going to have a soda. Smacking. You know what I mean? It's like, and I drank my vodka neat. So it was very much, just straight cold vodka.
And you pound your chest like a man.
Yeah. Like I had a lot of ego behind it, a lot of identity behind it. I won't say that. I won't deny that. But, there is something to the idea of making vice more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree 110%. And when I started going to the center, they said, well, we have to check and make sure. I had to give them a urine specimen because they needed to make sure that there was no nicotine in my system. And that's one thing that they want to make sure of, because during surgery with anesthesia, right? But then after I have my smaller stomach, it's going to fill up with air. And so I did my research, and I'm glad that I'm telling you about this because other people who may be vaping can listen. I never realized how detrimental the way they make these things are, Martin. Okay.
Oh,
because it's not just nicotine on these vapes.
Oh, no.
It's nicotine salts. And nicotine salts are highly more addictive than just nicotine. Okay? I hope everybody's hearing me. They are highly more addictive, and nicotine salts are also combined with acid. So we're putting acid into our lungs. Okay? Nicotine salts are combined and made with acid. So they told me, you can go to a zero nicotine vape. Okay, so that's fine. I stepped down zero nicotine vape. That way I could, for a few days, get used to not having any nic. That's fine. And it was not hard at all. But now it's like, no vape. I don't want to vape.
Yeah, everything you put in your body, should go through some sort of at some point in your life. We should be pretty, and I know there's that old adage of like, your body is your temple, blah, blah, blah. And that's really sort of, but I personally don't want to put my life and what goes in my body I don't want to allow Orida or Marlboro or Stolichnaya the responsibility,
the control
for my body, right? And so I have to, and this mindset may have come very strongly because of my diagnosis of MS and other things like that, but yeah, that's, let's, you got 5 minutes and I do have to kind of move on. So number.
Absolutely. 16, darling. 16.
16. I love 16. Yeah. Stillness and integration, my dear.
Okay, darling. Stillness and integration.
Stillness and integration. Being empty of mind is of the utmost importance, and it is to be guarded with fervor. We have all seen states of action arise, and always beyond it returns stillness. When any state of action is complete, it naturally returns to stillness. This allows integration of what arose from action, which is the natural cycle of maturation. If stillness and integration cannot be achieved, constant action will lead to anxiety and wild movements. Yielding to stillness makes one impartial, and all particular things fall away. Then, when it is time to die, one can be impartial to that as well. This one for me is really like about filling your life to the brim with everything from one thing to another, and never taking stillness, never taking time to be still.
And to be peaceful.
We were talking with Julie earlier, and she's at the Travel Lodge watching people like travel back and forth and all of this, doing what they do. It's like, and then you have this line in here where if stillness and integration cannot be achieved, if you can't be still in order to integrate the lessons that you're learning, constant action, meaning avoiding that lesson and moving on to the next thing that you're doing instead of learning from that, constant action will lead to anxiety and wild movements. Wild movements meaning ridiculous choices and like doing things just because.
Of course, you're going to be impulsive because you're not giving yourself time to stop, think, meditate on what you've done already, meditate on things that could have been a better decision. You're not giving your time
you're not giving yourself time to mature. You're not giving yourself time to mature. And the line before that was, this allows integration. By being still, you allow integration into your mind and body of what arose from action. So you take an action, that action is coming from yourself and Tao, this collaboration of your life. You're experiencing something, and if you can allow that experience to integrate with your body, you go, which is the natural cycle of maturation. That is how we mature. We mature by having experiences and allowing those experiences to integrate with all of the other experiences that we have. And if we can't do that, it will lead us to anxiety and wild movements, bad choices.
No, absolutely. I agree. Like if you had never learned about, what drinking did to you, how it made you feel, how it ruined your life, how it whatever, you wouldn't have gotten to the point where you're like, okay, enough, I'm tired of this, and gotten to this point. And then I'm sure you still had your experiences along the way, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
It kept you where you're at. And the same thing for me. I haven't been in a violent relationship since I left the one I had, but I've still had to mature in other ways. I've still had to mature in whether it's, like you and I have talked many times about different areas where I still struggle. And so, through that I've grown, but life is a constant cycle of this. But I love this number 16 because it tells us, right? If we don't take that time, we're never going to grow.
if we don't take that time, it's going to lead to anxiety and bad choices. And
it's okay. I've got it.
Right. And like you may still, like the idea is that time is the way that you mature. You are going to grow and change. You may grow in a bad, you may grow into a direction. Okay. Right. So, cause growth,
I've got it all mixed up.
You can grow poorly. You can grow immature. You can grow in a way, but you're not going to mature, which means life isn't necessarily going to get easy. It's not like it's like you're not embracing that stillness is going to cause you to, possibly grow, but not mature.
You know what? I think after your 5th time here of explaining this to me, I finally understand what you've been trying to say for the first 4 times. No, Mary, listen. It means that you're still going to grow. Now I understand.
Like, it's maturity is a different thing. Maturity is, because you can grow from experiences, but that growth might not be in the direction of maturity.
Right. Absolutely. No, yeah. I agree 150% because I can understand that. How many times I've called you, and I'm going to keep coming back to that. And, I've been so excited.
Okay. You just got cut off. I do have another person in the queue. If you wanted to come up and just finish, that'd be fine. I'm going to give you a couple. There we are. And then I got Olive Mark in the queue. And I do have a hard stop at 7:30, but we can.
It's funny when you and I are talking, I feel like we're just like at a cafe talking. And
yeah.
I think that
I hope everybody feels that way when they talk to me.
Oh, well, shame on them if they don't. No, it just, when you and I have talked before, and it's just like, I'm all excited because I think I've gotten a part of me figured out. And then you're like, and I'm like,
okay. And it's the
like
thing is like, there isn't anything to figure out, sweetheart. You are here and you're doing great. And there's
it's the maturation part of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you just allow yourself to mature. And how do you do that? By allowing stillness.
Exactly. So now I'm connecting what that's saying to what you've been trying to say the last 5 minutes is I'm like, yep. And then I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's not.
It's the knowing. And I know knowing is the current plague. And we got to admit that we don't know. And then we open ourselves up to receive. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we got the chance to reconnect.
Yes, and please send that to me. DM it, okay?
Yeah, I'll DM it. It's going to be a little later in the day because I'm going to be a little rushing around today, but it'll be later.
Not a problem. That way I can meditate on it.
Sounds good, love.
All right.
Love you. Bye-bye. All right, we're going to bring Mark up. Or Olive, I don't know what the... Or not. Nope, there you are. Is it Mark or Olive, or how do I pronounce that? Okay. Sometimes people join and don't know that they join, or sometimes people join and don't have their microphone connected. So I always give people a little bit of time before I send them off the stage, just in case they want to figure that out. I usually give them about a minute or so, but so we're going to give them a couple more seconds, another 30 seconds or so, just to figure that out. And so, yeah. I'm glad you guys come up. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, or I don't know if you're watching anything, but you can find some of these episodes on the Tao of the Day podcast. You can find me with the links in my profile, martinjohn.com, spelled the way it is here. Martin John is one word. It is my pseudonym or what have you. And yeah, I'm always here to help support and be here for you guys as much as I can. Today I have a couple things I got to run and do, so I'm going to cut out. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.